is Ivy Kamau, and we have a lot lined up for you here tonight. But first, here are the highlights.
Communications Secretary is quoting is 33 and 34, and we must remind them that those articles are very clear that the freedom of
TV and radio stations ordered to hold live coverage of the Gen Z protests. Zambian peacekeeper killed near Sudan border in escalating violence. Mozartbet impacts the community through football. And now Gen Z protests took to the streets today to mark the first anniversary of last year's anti-finance bill demonstrations. In Nairobi CBD and in cities like Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Matu, Embu and Kirinyaga, thousands rallied to condemn police brutality and government corruption. Here are the details. Gen Z protesters took to the streets today to mark the anniversary of last year's massive anti-finance bill demonstrations, flooding Nairobi's CBD and cities across the country with renewed energy and demands. What began as a solemn remembrance of those who lost their lives quickly escalated into clashes with police who deployed tear gas and wielded batons against the crowds. The youth-led rally highlighted persistent grievances over government corruption and police brutality, showing the fight for justice is far from over.
Tunasema ni half term, mama ni half term. Tumechoka, tumechoka. Amtui tena. Amtui. This is what we are going to go through every day. We are youth. We don't have jobs. We don't have anything to live for. You've taken away everything we have. Everything we need to live for. You've taken it all away. What do you want us to do? What do you want us to do? We are tired.
Leo tunasema Kasongo must go, na kama Kasongo haendi, sisi mwenyewe tutamtoa, na tunasema hatutaki kuumizwa tena na hatulipi gharama tena na tutasimama maovu ya kitawala.
Protests were not limited to Nairobi. Demonstrators also gathered in towns such as Matu, Embu and Kirinyaga, carrying Kenyan flags and placards bearing images of protesters who died during last year's unrest. The anniversary protest come amid growing public outcry over police violence, especially following the recent death of a 31-year-old blogger and teacher, Albert Ojwang, who died in custody after criticizing a senior police officer. His death has become a symbol of ongoing struggle against abuses of power.
Hivyo tumekuja kukomeza hiyo mambo inaendelea kuua watoto wetu.
Sisi majenzi tumetokea na fujo sana. Huyu president wetu atusimamii. Jenzi muko. Tumetokea juu ya Ruto, tumuondoe.
As the day ended, it was clear that the youth remain resolute in their quest for justice and dignity. The protest underscored a broader national reckoning with corruption and systemic violence that continues to undermine trust in government institutions. For Gen Z, today was more than a commemoration. It was a powerful statement that their voices will not be silenced and their fight for a better Kenya continues unabated. The question now is whether those in power will finally heed their call. A solemn moment unfolded today in the heart of Nairobi as Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka, flanked by other opposition figures, led a symbolic tribute outside Parliament 1 year after the tragic Gen Z anti-financing bill protest of June 25, 2024, with prayers, flowers, and a call for national remembrance. The leaders honored the young lives lost during last year's demonstrations. Amid razor wire barricades and a heavy police presence, their message was clear. This was not a day for politics or protest, but for mourning, unity, and reflection. Calls are now growing louder for June 25th to be officially recognized as a National Day of Remembrance.
Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka today led opposition leaders, including DAP-K leader Eugene Wamalwa, in a wreath-laying ceremony outside the Kenyan Parliament to honor the victims of the June 25, 2024 Gen Z anti-finance bill protest. The leaders began by holding prayers at the Holy Family Basilica before walking to Parliament Road, where police had set razor wire barricades and did not allow them to proceed beyond that point. Kalonzo and the others knelt, laid flowers at the barricade, and said a brief prayer in memory of the young protesters.
In 2024, young Kenyans, the Gen Zs, caught world attention, and even today I'm quite sure the international community is watching. I've heard the BBC and others. The lead item is about the remembrance of the very brilliant and bold young Kenyans who came to the streets to again in furtherance partly to the issue of high cost of living, but they were now saying this was now being strongly enshrined through the infamous finance bill of 2024. So they came out armed only with bottles of water, their national flags, and their telephones, and they did what actually became a very heroic action. So today we want to remember them.
He also praised Kenyans for largely staying home in solidarity, making the day feel like a public holiday.
So actually said clearly, we've been saying it, today is a public holiday. Indeed, it is now going to, is it 9 o'clock? And I've never seen the streets of Nairobi being so clear. Easy traffic today. A lot of Kenyans have chosen to stay at home in sympathy with what happened on the 25th of June, 2024.
Kalonzo reiterated that the day was meant for mourning and remembrance and not chaos, and called on religious leaders to join in lighting candles and christening the Parliament grounds where blood was spilled during the protest.
We are just following the law. Yes. We are fighting for you to take it. We are cooperating.
Today's protest saw 2 protesters killed. The Kenyatta National Hospital received 56 wounded people, mostly with bullet injuries, including a female police officer. Authorities banned live coverage, taking 2 broadcasters off air, calling the transmissions illegal. The Katiba Institute challenged police roadblocks in Nairobi as unlawful, while Parliament and the State House were heavily barricaded. Last year's protests were driven by tax hikes on essentials amid a worsening cost of living crisis. Susan Nganga, GBS News, Nairobi.
Moving on, the Communications Authority of Kenya has directed all TV and radio stations to stop live coverage of the ongoing protest. In a statement released today, CIS Director General David Mugonyi stated that covering the protest contravenes both the Constitution and the Section 461 of the Kenya Information and Communications Act.
Mugonyi warned that the authority will take action against any stations that fail to adhere to the directive. This was after hundreds of protesters took to the streets today to mark a year since the anti-finance demonstrations that left several youths dead. Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has come out strongly against the Communication Authority of Kenya following its directive for TV and radio stations to cease live coverage of the protest.
Right to information is a constitutional right under Article 35, and the Communications Authority is quoting Articles 33 and 34, and we must remind them that those articles are very clear that the freedom of the press is guaranteed. It cannot therefore be taken arbitrarily under whatever circumstances without a proper consultation on particularly the issue.
President William Ruto welcomed His Highness Prince Rahim Al Husseini, Aga Khan's envoy, His Excellency Sultan Ali Alana, today at State House, Nairobi. The president praised the work undertaken by the Aga Khan Development Network in Kenya, especially in the fields of health and education. The president extended an invitation for His Highness the Aga Khan to visit the Kenyan for the signing of the agreement for the recognition of the Ismaili Imat and for the conferment of the award of the Chief of Order of the Golden Heart. The two discussed the long-standing partnership between Kenya and Aga Khan Development Network, particularly in areas of health, education, and community development. The proposed visit and recognition ceremony underscores Kenya's commitment to strengthening ties with the Ismaili community and acknowledging the Aga Khan's significant contribution to national development. Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. Let us take our very first break. We'll be right back with even more.
Welcome to Fun Dance Class. Today we will continue learning about Jingle Bell Rock. Friends, first you cross your arm and put it on top of your head, and as you go in left side, you open it, then you come back to your place.
And then you make your leg 90 degrees, and then as you put your legs until 90 degrees, you need to jump a bit. 1, 2. Then as you jump a bit, you need to stretch your hands downwards.
Today is all about models. So girl Alison, you tuned into Art Club, the best archery in the whole of East Africa.
My name is Abigail Paula, but on my socials I go with Peaches Paula. Yeah. I did procurement and logistics.
How do you deal with those negative comments? I'm a rejection.
Yeah.
How do you advise it?
But the heaviness of it. Rejection is redirection.
Now you were crowned Miss Kenya UK.
Yeah.
Lakini before we get there, I want to know your journey towards that title.
Started with Miss Freshers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. I ended up being the first runners-up.
Topic of discussion, Leo, is a hustle culture. Hustle culture, and this is working smart versus working hard.
Working hard is where nina hustle. I'm working like a donkey.
Unaweza pata maybe ulisoma, yes, maybe kumaliza shule, maybe hii inahitaji maybe diploma, maybe ulifika certificate level. So I feel pia knowledge inachangia sana.
Yes,
watu kukua kwa informal.
You have to like plan. You also have to delegate, and it's also sometimes about convenience. What is convenience for you?
Tunaweza work smart hata kama ni kwa informal jobs. Tuki-apply hiyo working smart, we can do something. Si lazima tu ikuwe ni kazi ile uko chini.
I'm picking a dare. Okay. What call your mom or dad and sing the chorus of their favorite song loudly. Mama Vanessa,
Just a sing.
we are live on TV. I need to...
Which TV?
GBS TV. On the youth hub, and they want me to sing you a song. I've been dared to sing your favorite song. So
No, don't sing that one, man.
No.
Sing yours.
No, I will sing a nice one. I know many of your songs.
Sing daddy's song.
I sing daddy's song, fine.
Loudly, read.
I love you.
Shout.
You're my baby. I love you. You're the best. Bye, mommy. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I know.
A student can transition from other curriculums such as the Kenyan CBC curriculum, the Pearson EdExcel curriculum, and the IB curriculum to the Cambridge curriculum.
Everywhere GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast, and now to matters international news. A deadly attack in the Central African Republic has claimed the life of a Zambian UN peacekeeper, marking a grim escalation in violence against international forces. The ambush near the Sudanese border is the third such assault this year, raising urgent concerns about the safety of peacekeepers and the worsening security crisis in the region. Here are the details.
Zambian UN peacekeeper has been killed in the Central African Republic following an attack by suspected Sudanese armed groups near the northern border. Another peacekeeper was injured in the attack and is receiving medical treatment. The UN strongly condemned the assault, the third on peacekeepers in the country this year, and expressed concern over the growing threat to its personnel. The Central African Republic has struggled with instability since 2013 when rebels overthrew the government. A 2019 peace deal brought only partial relief, and several armed groups have since resumed fighting. UN forces continue to operate in dangerous conditions, trying to protect civilians and support peace efforts. Meanwhile, Zambia's government is demanding justice, while international scrutiny intensifies around the role of foreign forces in the region, including Russian-backed troops who have been accused of human rights abuses and fueling further unrest. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
A heartbreaking crisis is unfolding in northern Mozambique, where at least 120 children have been abducted by jihadist militants. Many are being forced to fight, labor, or even enter into marriage. Human Rights Watch warns the violence is escalating and being dangerously overlooked. Here is that story.
In northern Mozambique, at least 120 children have been abducted by the jihadist group Al-Shabaab, according to Human Rights Watch. They are forced into hard labor, used as fighters, or forced into marriage, part of a brutal insurgency in Cabo Delgado that has raged since 2017. Despite military support from regional allies, Mozambique's forces have struggled to contain the violence. Entire villages have been attacked, and survivors say some kidnapped children are returning as armed militants. Due to the violence, over 600,000 people have been displaced. Human Rights Watch warns of a surge in recent kidnappings and calls it a neglected crisis. With political unrest and natural disasters already straining the country, Mozambique's stolen children risk being forgotten unless urgent action is taken. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
A deadly landslide struck northwest Colombia, resulting in at least 10 fatalities and injuring 15 others. The disaster occurred in the Antioquia province, near the city of Medellin, specifically affecting the municipality of Belo. The landslide was triggered by heavy rains and the overflow of La Negra stream, which led to the flooding of ravine and caused significant destruction in the El Pinar neighborhood, burying over 10 homes under mud and debris. Local authorities, including Antioquia Governor Andres Julian and Belo Mayor Lorena Gonzalez, reported that the rescue operations are ongoing, with teams searching for missing persons and providing aid to survivors. Residents have been evacuated and are seeking shelter in makeshift camps due to continued risk of further landslides. The full resources of the department have been mobilized to respond to the emergency, and local communities are appealing for solidarity and support, especially for basic needs like blankets and food. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has emphasized NATO's enduring and heightened importance during the second day of the Alliance's historic 2025 summit in the Netherlands amid global instability and renewed security threats. Starmer told reporters that NATO is probably as important as strong today as it's ever been, underscoring the alliance's role in ensuring peace and security in a volatile world. He highlighted the necessity for unity among NATO members, especially in the face of recent global events and ongoing conflicts such as those in the Middle East and Ukraine. At the summit, Starmer announced the UK's commitment to increase defense and security spending to 5% of GDP by 2035, aligning with the new NATO-wide target agreed by member states. This marks the highest level of UK defense spending since the Cold War and is intended to bolster the country's resilience and competitiveness in what Starmer described as an era of radical uncertainty.
Today is about the unity of NATO, showing that strength. We're bigger than we were before, we're stronger than we were before. Historic commitment in relation to spending. And for me, as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, it's important that we play an integral part, because the safety and security of our citizens in the UK is my first duty as Prime Minister. I take that extremely seriously. We live in a very volatile world, and today is about the unity of NATO, showing that strength. We're bigger than we were before, we're stronger than we were before. There's a historic commitment in relation to spending. And for me, as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, it's important that we play an integral part, because the safety and security of our citizens in the UK is my first duty as Prime Minister. I take that extremely.
Tensions flared outside the NATO summit this week as protesters gathered to accuse the alliance of complicity in Israel's military actions in Gaza. Demonstrators staged a symbolic protest near the summit venue, challenging NATO's silence on what they described as genocide. The protest, held under tight security, highlighted growing public discontent with the alliance's perceived disregard for international law and the humanitarian crisis in Palestine. Here are the details.
As NATO leaders convened for their annual summit, protests erupted nearby, with the demonstrators accusing the alliance of being complicit in Israel's ongoing war in Gaza. Activists gathered at the location renamed Gaza Beach to draw attention to the humanitarian crisis despite heavy security and numerous roadblocks. The protest feared a symbolic 2-minute die-in where participants lay silently in the sand to honor the victims of the conflict.
We cannot have a meeting about the NATO and not address the elephant in the room, which is the genocide that takes place in Gaza for such a long time.
Protesters criticized NATO's silence on the war, arguing that discussions about defense and peace are undermined by the alliance's failure to acknowledge the widespread suffering in Gaza. Many believe the alliance support for member states involved in the conflict makes it complicit in the actions they describe as violations of international law. The summit's agenda on maintaining global security was viewed as a contradictory by those who see continued military aggression and civilian casualties in Gaza.
General of NATO today praised Trump for the courageous step which he had taken to neglect international law. It was aggression, it was a war act, an act of war. So, in my view, NATO gradually is disregarding its own values.
Tensions escalated further following praise from NATO leadership for recent U.S. military strikes in the Middle East, which protesters saw as a disregard for international norms. Demonstrators expressed growing concern that NATO is drifting away from its foundational principles by selectively addressing the global conflicts. The protest served as a pointed reminder that public accountability and consistent application of international law remain central demands for those opposing NATO's current stand.
The World Economic Forum's 16th annual meeting of the new champions, commonly known as Summer Davos, has begun in Zhejiang, China, drawing over 1,500 delegates from more than 90 countries and regions. Under the banner Entrepreneurship for a New Era, the gathering brings together leaders from government, business, academia, civil society, and international organizations to explore how entrepreneurial solutions can drive economic transformation amid modest global growth, with Asia expected to account for nearly 60% of global GDP growth this year. The forum emphasizes scaling next-generation startups and catalyzing innovation across 5 key themes, underscoring the world economy, China's evolving global role, industrial disruption, sustainable investment in people and the planet, and next-generation energy and materials. Over 3 days, attendees will participate in high-level dialogues, startup showcases, and sessions spotlighting AI, green energy, and breakthrough technologies, reinforcing Beijing's emergence as a hub for innovation and international collaboration.
When we talk about entrepreneurship, it's not just about technology, but also entrepreneurial policy making and trying to create resilient and innovative policy frameworks.
The new technologies can increase productivity. And productivity, what is that? That is producing more for less, and that is prosperity. That's the only way to increase people's welfare, to have more resources, to invest in education, in health, and people's livelihoods. So I don't think we should lose the optimism in such a situation either. But one also has to be realistic and not naive.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And that international news brings us to the sports news. Let's get sporty. Mozartbet has continued to make a tangible impact in the community through football, not just by powering the Mozartbet Cup, but also by encouraging players to give back. These acts of kindness highlight Mozartbet's broader vision of using football as a vehicle for community development and grassroots empowerment. Through the Mozartbet Humanitarian Award, players like Ernest Mohamed and Alpha Onyango have extended the spirit of generosity beyond the pitch. Ernest channeled his award to support a goalkeeper's clinic at nurturing the next generation of short stoppers. Meanwhile, Alpha Onyango donated his award to 3 grassroots teams, Masa, Makongeni, Elite, and 1000 Street FC, equipping them with essential training gear. In doing so, he paid tribute to Masa and team where his football journey began.
Behind me donating here at MISA is, when I first arrived in Kenya, there's a friend of mine called Emmanuel. He's out of the country at the moment. He introduced me here to the goalkeeping clinic. So I used to train with the goalkeeping clinic. They took me in as a brother when I came in. I felt at home, so I just felt whatever they gave me, it's time to repay them back. So I just decided, let me use this opportunity to repay them for whatever they did to me or they did for me when I arrived here.
Today I'm so proud to be here at Maisa Komarok because our team Mozartbet leo wamekuja hapa leo kwa niaba ya mwenzetu Ernest alikuwa amekuwa mchezaji bora wa huu tournament wa Mozartbet. So ni furaha tele tunayo siku ya leo sisi kama wana Maisa Academy because ni jambo nzuri sana ametufanyia siku ya leo, at least kutukumbuka hapa na as Maisa as a whole because Maisa imekuwa it's a big name. We have more than 60 participants wenye wamekuwa kwa makeepers hapa na tumetoa pia wengi. So mimi siku ya leo na again to give back to the community.
And with that, we have come to the end of our bulletin tonight. As always, here at GBS News at 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Wangoi, and our sign language interpreter is Ivy Kamau. Good night.
Everywhere, GBS.